Hello class, welcome to week 12 of Windows Server Administration. I believe it's week 12 actually, right? Yeah, it's week 12. So week 12 is kind of, we're learning a new topic, so configuring web services and cloud technologies, but the lab that we're doing is actually the part 2 of the VPN services that we were doing the previous week. So it's actually still a lab from chapter 9, but we have it this week because there wasn't actually a lab for Chapter 10 for Web Services and Cloud Technologies. So a lot of the stuff we're going to do in this lab is actually stuff that very similar to what we did last week. Um, so yeah, for week 10, because there's no specific lab for the homework assignment for it, even more important is to read the chapter so that you're actually getting the content of the lab. Um, in the meantime, let's continue on with this lab. So this lab's actually not that long. It's only 2 pages, I believe. Page 3 and 4, and then 5 should be the questions. So let's go to the first task on exercise 1, which is install Rras. So let's see, the first task, they want us to install the secondary network adapter. Okay, so what machine are we working on? Plab DMO1, so this one. So I'm going to turn that one on, and it looks like they want us to go to Hyper-V Manager. So once it does turn on, I'll open up Hyper-V, and then they want me to right-click on one of the virtual machines on the Hyper-V list. I'm assuming it's the first one, because that's kind of what I could see from the screenshot. Okay, so Server Manager should come up. So I'm just going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to Hyper-V, and now I'm just going to right click on Plab DC02 from the list of virtual machines, which is the first one. And they actually want me to go to Settings, so they don't want me to connect to it yet. So we'll go to Settings, and we're going to add a second network adapter. So that means I'm going to go to Network Adapter, I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to do Add. And it looks like, so go to the virtual switch drop-down list, select Hyper-V adapter virtual switch, and click OK. Do they want me to check off any other box here? It doesn't look like it. Okay. So that's it for the network adapter. Fairly simple. So now they want us to install the Rras feature. So we're still on Plab DMO1. We still have the Hyper-V console open. But they want us to actually connect to that machine that we just made edits to. So I'm going to connect to it, click Start, and now it's starting up. And once it starts up, so once the wallpaper appears, they want us to click Control Alt Delete, but it has to be from up here. Like, you can't just click on your keyboard, or else you're gonna Control Alt Delete your actual computer, not the virtual machine. So I'll wait for the wallpaper to show up, and then I'll click on that. And it looks like they do want to sign in as administrator, so that's good. So once I do the Control Alt Delete action, I can enlarge the screen so that it takes up the full window, and then I can just like do what they wanted me to do there. So it should be coming up right about now. Okay, so we'll send Control Alt Delete, and now we can expand this. Perfect. Okay, so the password should still be password with a 0. Okay. Let's see. So they want us to right click. Wait. Yeah. So from the server manager within this virtual machine, the virtual machine within the virtual machine, they want us to right click on Start and go to PowerShell Admin. Well, they don't specify admin, but I'm just going to go to PowerShell Admin. It really doesn't matter. So they want us to enter in this command. And because, actually, I don't think it's going to allow me to clipboard this, but I can try. It doesn't hurt to try. Nope. Okay, that's fine. So I'll just type this out. Just try to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. 2 space IP address 192.168.0.101 dash prefix length 24. Good. The fact that it's pausing makes it okay. Good. Perfect. So yeah, we get the static IP address successfully set up for the Ethernet 2 connection. Good. And I can see that right here. Right here. So that's the IP address that I just entered in. So now in the next prompt, they want us to configure Ethernet 2 to use 192.168.0.1. Okay, so as its preferred DNS server. So this is the IP address it's going to use, but for DNS, like so when you try to go to a internet site, it wants us to use a specific DNS server, not just whatever DNS server it would take normally from your IP provider. So that's fine. So let's type in this command. Press enter. Okay, good. So on the next prompt, to configure Ethernet to use 192.168.0.1 as its preferred DNS. Wait, didn't I just do that? Oh, Ethernet. So I did it for Ethernet 2, so now I have to do it for Ethernet. Just regular Ethernet. Alright, so it's relatively the same syntax that I just wrote. The only difference being the interface alias. And I messed up. I clicked enter by accident. Okay. Interface. Oh, this one doesn't have to go in quotation marks. Ethernet server addresses 192.168.0.1. Okay? Okay. Good. So, no successful confirmation appears after setting the preferred DNS servers for Ethernet and Ethernet 2, which is correct because we didn't get any prompt. So to join Plab DC02 to the practice lab domain, they want us to type in this other command. So we can go ahead and do that. I don't know why it keeps on. Hold on. Okay, it doesn't have to be that small. Alright, that's good. Domain credential space practice labs backslash. Okay, so I believe the password should still be the regular password. Yep. Alright, so from the next prompt you need to restart Plab DC02 to apply the changes that we just made. Okay, so we can do that from the Powershell prompt, or you can actually just go to the start here and do it from there. But this is easier because I have it open. So it's just going to restart, and when Windows desktop wallpaper appears, click the restore down button. Oh, just this. Because we have to send the action of Control-Alt-Delete again, We can't have it full screen. We have to minimize it a little bit and then do it. Press the button or the action button for Control Alt Delete. So I'll just give it a second. Shouldn't take too long. And then what are we? Step 12? Okay. Alright, so do the action. Now I'll full screen this. And do they want us to... Okay, so yeah, other user. And here we're going to sign in as a domain administrator, not just a local administrator. So that's the point of typing domain or practice labs / administrator. And then password is password. Okay. So we might get two dialog boxes that might prompt us. The first one usually does show up. The second one, I think it only showed up once for me in a very early lab that we did in the semester. But this BG license agreement will probably show up regardless. They want us to open up Windows PowerShell again and install routing and remote access by typing in this command. So I'm just going to do that. If the window comes up, it comes up. I'll just press, what do they want me to do? Agree. Just waiting for my cursor to show up. Okay. So I'll go ahead and start typing step 18's command. Windows feature. Ooh, okay. Feature direct access VPN routing. Press enter. I believe that's right. Okay, good. It's hard to tell spacing sometimes when it goes on a new line like this, but it was good. Okay. So while it does that, we have to wait for the dependent components to install. It'll take a few minutes. I'm gonna pause the video right here. When it does finish, because it's still on 24%, we should have this screen. So I'll see you guys when it does finish. Okay guys, I'm back. So it did finish. It did take about like 2 to 3 minutes, so do keep that in mind when you do run this command. Just like step away, get something to drink or something, and then come back. So it did give me a successful exit code, which means the code I entered in was accepted. The routing and remote access services has now been installed on this this Hyper-V server. So for now, they said just to leave the screen like that, minimize PowerShell, and we move on to the next task. So I'm just going to press agree there. So now task 3. So configure RRAS on Windows Server. So it looks like they want us to stay put. They want us to stay on Plab DC02, which is where we currently are sitting at. I can tell from up here. So I have server dashboard open. They want us to go to the tools and then routing and remote access. So let's see if I could find that. Yep. Okay. So on the window, they want us to right click on Plab DC02 and configure and enable routing and remote access. Okay. So we get the wizard for that setup. The first thing is click next because there's really nothing you can do in that window. For this, they want us to verify that remote access dial-up or VPN is selected, which it is by default, and then click next. So for here, they want us to specify the type of connection to support. We want to support VPN, so I'll just click on VPN. I'll hit next. Here they want us to select Ethernet 2 with the IP address of 192.168.0.101. Clear enable security, so uncheck this box. Select this and then hit next. Okay. So on step 7, from the IP address assignment, you must select the method of specifying the IP address to remote clients. From a specified range of IP addresses is the one they want us to choose, so the second option, I'll hit next. For step 8, the address range assignment page lists the address ranges that are specified to the IP addresses to remote VPN clients. Notice that no address range is currently specified. To specify an address range, click New. Okay, so I'll click New. And the start IP address, okay, so they give you both. So 192.168.0.168.0. Okay, 0. Wow. .120. My keyboard was just all over the place there. So 192.168.0.140.140. Okay. To save this range of IP addresses for remote VPN and clients, click OK. Back on the IP range assignment page, a specified address range is now displayed in the address range section. Click Next. So step 11, on the Managing Multiple Remote Access Servers page, you must specify whether the remote connection requests are to be authenticated locally or remotely. So they want us to verify that no, so the first option is selected, so that's the one they want. So I'll just hit next, and then here is just finish. And for this, just press OK. And then for this, press OK again. So now it is initializing the service, the RRAS service. So the routing and remote access window indicates that RRAS is now configured on the Plab DC02 server. Minimize the routing and remote access window and return to server manager dashboard. Okay, so yeah, now we have all these options. They were not here before. I'll minimize that for now. So that's it for task 3. So task 4, verify VPN ports on Firewall. So ensure you are connected to Plab DM01, which I am. On Plab DC02, which is where we're currently sitting, that virtual machine exists on top of Plab DM01. Make sure you're on the dashboard, click on Tools, go to Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. From Windows, hover to the navigation pane, click Inbound Rules, scroll down the list and locate routing and remote access. So for that, I just clicked on the list and pressed R, and that brings me to all the items in the list that begin with R. It's quicker than scrolling down, so they just want us to verify that the following VPN rules are set to enabled. So the first one is the remote routing and remote access. Routing and remote access. These. Okay, so above appear enabled, you can skip all the remaining steps. To enable each rule, scroll down the list, right click on select. Okay, so if they're enabled, we can skip them, but if they're not, like in my case, we just right click each one and click enable. So start with the one that says GRE -IN, and then go down, let's see, the L2TP, PPTP, and we're going to skip this one and go to this one and enable this. Alright, so those are the 4 that they wanted us to enable. They're just showing you how to enable them. Likewise, enable routing. Oh, they do want us to enable the routing. Okay, so I'll just enable that one as well. Close the firewall and advanced security window. Okay, so I'll close that. So task 5, configure dial Nvpn ports. So we're still on the same machine, and they want us to click on the routing. Oh, just open it back up because you should have it open if you minimized it before. So they want us to expand the Plab DC02 local, which is, it was actually expanded. Right click ports and select properties. Okay, so on the ports properties dialog box, select WAN mini port L2 TP, so this one, and click configure. So now they want us to go to click in the phone number for this device, which is right here, this dialog box. Type in this IP address of 192.168.0.101, and they want us to make any other changes. Doesn't look like, actually, yeah. They want us to clear the demand dial routing connections, so I'll get rid of that. Everything else looks good. I'll press OK. Click OK here as well. So step 4, back on the routing and remote access window, right click on the Plab DC02 node and select properties. Okay, so here they want us to access the IPv4 tab, and under the IPv4 tab, go to the adapter drop-down list, which is right here. Change the settings to Ethernet 2. So it's currently on Ethernet, so I'll just do Ethernet 2. Recall that Ethernet 2 is a secondary network interface configured to support VPN connections for clients to contact DHCP and DNS. So we're going to click OK here. So for step 6, Plab DC02 is now configured to listen for all incoming VPN connection requests at the secondary internet adapter, so Ethernet 2. So they want us to minimize this. Okay, so task 6 is task 6. Okay, so it's the last task for this page. So grant dial-in permissions. So they want us to go to Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. Wait, what machine are we on? Not this machine. Okay, go to Plab DC01 up here. So the first computer on your list of computers. And now they want us to go to Tools, and then go to Users or Active Directory Users and Computers. From here, they want us to expand the Practice Labs node, which it already is for me. They want us to click the Users container, which I'm currently already clicked into, and select Properties. Okay. Actually, properties for a specific user? Oh yeah, so they want me to go for Administrator. And go to Properties. Okay, so on the Administrator Properties dialog box, click on General, which it currently is at. Click on the Dial In tab. Okay, so from the Dial In tab, select the Allow Access. Wait a minute. Okay. A little bit weird. Okay, so select the Allow Access radio button for the network access permission. Click OK. Move this back over. Not that much. So back in the Active Directory's Users and Computers window, under the practicelabs.com, expand the APAC organizational unit. Okay, there's only one user inside of here, so I'm just going to go to Properties for Elizabeth, and go to the Dial-In tab. Same thing, Allow Access, click OK. And actually, I should have left it open, because that's what they want me to take the screenshot of. So I'll take a screenshot, great. Close that. I'm not sure if I need Active Directory, do I? I don't. Okay, so they say close it right there. So I took the screenshot of Elizabeth up the dial and tab for Elizabeth. Just do next. So this is exercise 2. So for exercise 2, implement L2TP. They want us to add an AD certificate services. So the machine we're working on is actually this third machine, Plab DMO2. So I'm just going to start it up and wait for it to begin. Once it does start up, they want us to open up PowerShell, so that'll be the first thing I do. And it looks like it's just a bunch of commands that they want me to enter in, at least for the beginning part. So I'll just give it a second. Okay, so it looks like it's up. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to open up PowerShell, and then I'll start with step 2. And once again, it doesn't matter if it's an admin or just regular PowerShell window. They both kind of do the same thing, just admin gives you a little bit more rights, but for the commands we're doing, the fact that they don't need us to open up an admin PowerShell window means either one really works in this case. So I'm going to start with this command, add, actually, I don't have to type this. I can actually clipboard this since I'm not in a Hyper-V machine. Yep. Okay, perfect. Use as many shortcuts as you can, because these PowerShell commands can be very specific in the way it takes it, and if you misspell one PowerShell command, it can be like the last lab from last week where that last step wasn't working for whatever reason, and it was probably because I misspelled something in one of my PowerShell commands that I sent in manually. So doing this clipboard shortcut definitely makes it harder for human error to occur. So this one's installing relatively quick compared to the other one from the previous page, so that's good. Once this finishes, which it just did, success, now we can go to this next command, which is the installation of AD certification authority is successful, confirmed with the 0. On the next prompt to install AD certification authority web enrollment, type the following command. Oh no. Okay. Oof. So press A. And good. Perfect. Okay, so for step 4, close the PowerShell window. Okay, a whole step to close the PowerShell window. Alright, so restart Plab DC02 and Plab Win10. Well, Plab Win10 was never even on to begin with. Or no, restart Plab DC02, and then I'm assuming we're going to work in Plab Win10. Okay, well, I'll reboot this, and no, they say, and restart Plab Win10. Alright. So I'm going to turn this one on, and then when it does turn on, I'm just going to reboot it as well, just in case. And once we do that, it looks like we're going to start task 2 from that Plab Win10 machine. So yeah, click start, point to shutdown or sign out, select restart. Okay, so we'll leave this. This virtual machine is working. Close the right. I'm gonna refresh this. So they want us to go back to Plab DMO1 and close the routing and remote access console, which is this. And from the PowerShell window, they want us to restart this. A lot of restarting happening here. Alright. Okay. So task 3, request computer certificates. So after 1 minute, reconnect to Plab Win 10. After 1 minute. Has it been a minute? We'll try. So they want us to do run and MC. Okay, so from the console 1 window, click File and click Add, remove snap-in, select certificates. From the available snap-ins, and click Add. And then from here, they want us to do computer account. Click Finish to close the Select Computer dialog box. Likewise, click OK or Add Remove Snap-ins dialog box. Okay. Step 7, back on the console 1 window under certificates local computer. Click personal and right click it, go to all task and click request new certificate. So click next, and then here click next. On the request certificates page, enable the computer checkbox and click enroll. Step 11, click finish to close the certificate enrollment certificate installation results page. Back on the console 1 window, expand personal and click the certificates folder. Observe that Plab win10.practicelabs.com certificate. Minimize console 1 window. Okay, so step 13. Connect to Plab DMO1, so that is the second machine. I'm probably going to have to send Control-Alt-Delete to it. Actually, no. Because this is the Hyper-V machine, we have to minimize it, click Action, send Control-Alt-Delete. Now I can maximize it. And who am I signing in as? It looks like it's the Practice Labs administrator still, so that's fine. And password is password with the O as a 0. So now we're gonna go to run again, but we did that on the Plab Win 10, so now we're gonna do it on Plab DMO1, or well, actually Plab DCO2 that is on Plab DMO1. So I'll just do run. It's lagging because I just turned it on and I'm trying to tell it to start doing stuff. Okay. So here we're going to type in MMC and click OK. So that same console 1 should show up. Yep. So from here they want us to do the same thing we just did essentially. So the add remove snap-in. They want us to click on certificates, go to add. Here they want us to do computer account and click next. And then here do they have a specific one for this? Click finish. Close. Yeah, okay. Now click OK here. So under certificates, click personal, right click personal, and go to all tasks, request new certificate. So on the certificate enrollment before you begin page, click next, and then we'll click next on here as well. And so for the request certificates page, enable the computer checkbox. So this one is taking a second. So once it allows me to click on this checkbox, that's exactly what I'll do. But something is lagging me. Click enroll. Okay, so click finish when it is done. It succeeded, great. So step 27. Okay. Back on the console 1 window, expand personal. Click on the certificates folder and observe that plabdco2.practicelabs.com certificate is there. Minimize console 1. Okay, I was going to say if it goes past step 27, I feel like they're pushing it a little bit. Alright, so task 4, enable L2TP using a pre-shared key. So step 1, it looks like we're still on the same machine. We're on the dashboard, so they want us to click Tools, Routing, and Remote Access. So from here, they want us to right-click on plabdco2 and select Properties. So from here, click on the Security tab, which is the second one. And then on step 4, they want us to enable Allow Custom IPsec. So that should be under Allow Custom. Okay, so it's right here. So it's just a checkbox. When the pre-shared key text box becomes available, type the following password. So inside of here, I'm just going to type a password and click OK. So for this, they say just click OK as well. So step 6, back on the routing and remote access window, right-click on plabdco2, point to all tasks, and click restart. Okay, so while it does that, I'll be directed back to the routing and remote access window after the restart is successfully completed. Keep the window open. So I'm just going to give it a second so that it can restart before I move on to task 5. Okay, so it was actually pretty quick. So task 5, create and test VPN client connection. So step 1, so we're going to actually move back to Plab Win 10. We're going to go to the start menu down here, a start button, home button, whatever you want to call it. Go to PowerShell. I'm just going to type in PowerShell. And, oh, okay. So, luckily, don't type this out. Do it, that's a bit much. Go to menu, go to clipboard, paste it in there, and then just right click inside of your PowerShell, and it will just paste it automatically. So what do they want us to press? Y? Okay. Enter. So highlight this, press Control C, go to menu, go to clipboard, Control V, send twice, and then immediately don't right click inside of the window. Move your cursor right here, and then just single right click, and it will paste by itself. Because this is a huge command. You don't want to mess it up. So that's step 2. So step 3, with the pass-through parameter added, an output of the VPN connection appears as a result, as we got here. Good. So step 4, on the next prompt to create a VPN dial-in connection that will use the computer certificate, type this. I am also not typing that, and you shouldn't either. Use clipboard. That's what it's there for. Click enter. Great. So step 5, Windows PowerShell displays the VPN dial-in connection details. Right-click on the network icon on the system tray and select Open Network and Internet Settings, so this one, and I'll right-click, and then this. So from here, click VPN, and then they want us to go to, on the settings window, go to Plab's L2TP PSK, so the first one, and we'll click on connect, and we're gonna have to type in a username and password. This I'll type out because it's not that complicated, and if I mess up, it's not a big deal. Let's type it again. Okay, completing connection, and I'm connected. So indicates a successful connection. Click disconnect. Okay, wow, that was a little bit pointless. I guess we're just testing to see if we can actually connect. So now for the second one, they also want us to try to connect to that one. And for this one, we're using a different username to get in. So we'll do practice labs. We're going to use the Waybridge user to get in. And that password is also password. So I'm able to connect to that one as well. So step 12, the message completing the connection momentarily appears. So it's going to show that we have connected status. So step 13, on the settings window, scroll down to the related settings section. So I'm going to scroll all the way down and see if I could find that section. Related. Oh, this. Yep. And select network and sharing center. So another window should come up. Okay, so from the network and sharing center window, click change adapter settings, link on the left pane. So click on this, and now we have like 4 windows open. So on this 4th window, they want us to click on Plab's L2TP cert, which is the middle one, and then right click it, and then click on status. So now that we have the status dialog box, they want us to select the details tab. So it's the one right next to general. And the details tab presents additional information about this VPN connection. Device name indicates WAN mini port L2TP, and we can confirm that right here, which is what we wanted. Take a screenshot of that. So now we can close the Plab's L2TP cert status dialog box. So I'll close that. So step 18, right click Plab's L2 cert connection and select connect/disconnect. And select disconnect. Okay. And right click start, point to shutdown or sign out, and select sign out. Alright, so so I'll just shut it down. And that's it. That's the lab. It wasn't as long as the previous week's lab, because that one was like 3 pages. And then you have your questions as you normally have your questions. So these, at least from what I can tell, which of the following is required to enable a VPN server and VPN clients to use the L2TP protocol. These look like they are from the textbook reading, not necessarily from the lab that we just did. So when you do finish up the lab, if you haven't read the textbook yet, just leave it as is. It should save your work. Or you could just leave it open and you can open up your textbook over here. I'm not sure if you guys have this similar pane or on the right, but you can open up your textbook here and kind of just like search through. Remember, this is chapter 9, so even though this week we are technically covering chapter 10, so do read chapter 10, this is all stuff from chapter 9 because it's a lab from chapter 9, and you could tell from up here it says module 9. So if you are looking for the answers to these questions, reference chapter 9's textbook reading. And they're just a couple questions. I think it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 questions, and the screenshots are your other 2 answers. And then once you're done, click submit. Submit report right here. And that's it. And that's essentially the lab walkthrough for week 12. So a little bit of a review from last week, but there just wasn't a lab for this chapter, so I kind of felt like it's better, instead of doing nothing, at least let us review the topic from last week a little bit more, just so that you guys can become a little bit more familiar with setting up a VPN connection in a server environment. But that's pretty much it. So next week is week 13. We are inching a little bit closer to the test. It'll just be week 13 and 14, and then we'll have test 3, which is the final test of the semester. So make sure you guys are reading the textbook. Don't wait till the last minute, because then you end up having a lot of stuff to read before the test, and it just makes your life a little bit more complicated that way. So just make sure you try to read at least like half a chapter every couple days. That way you could kind of, it doesn't have to be half a chapter, it could just be like 10 pages. I do know that these readings can be a little bit long. So like if I open up, let's say, chapter 10. So yeah, so chapter 10 has section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So just like break it down into a couple days. Like read 3 sections, section 1, 2, and 3, maybe like one day. Read 4, 5, and 6, or 4, 5 another day, and then 6, 7 the last day. So like between 3 days, you could finish one chapter reading. Um, so yeah, read chapter 10, because we haven't done a lab on it, so I don't want you guys to not be familiar with the content from chapter 10, so make sure you guys do that reading. And I'll see you guys next week for week 13. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out. I'm always available via email, and I'll see you guys next week.